I discovered something recently. A friend of mine has been texting me about possibly moving to the Philippines, or, what's it like, how much is the rent, things like that. And it's interesting because he's recently married, and I didn't want to ask. Uh, I'm not going to ask if there's problems with his marriage, if he's divorcing. I'll find out about that when I'm going, because in September I'm going back to Texas. And the reason why I'm going back is I need to pick up new credit cards. I need to do a little bit of this and that. My brother in Kansas City and another person in Kansas City have boxes of stuff I need to pick up and possibly ship here. I've got to go through the storage unit. There's a trumpet, there's a violin that I need to ship over here so Charlie can start taking lessons. Eventually Baby G will take lessons also in music. Plus I've got a library. I've got boxes and boxes of books. I really need to start shipping a lot of the more valuable books here. I've got antique clocks. I've got things like that. I've found people that will take these clocks for temporarily until I can come back and ship them here. Things like that should not be in storage. But the interesting thing is, the thing that made me want to make this video is before, even last year, my mind was focused on bringing us back to Texas. What if something happens that we need to go back to Texas? I need to maintain this, I need to maintain that, I need to keep our furniture in good shape, I need to keep our appliances in good shape. If we need to go back, I need to go back and stay in touch with my former employer, get a job really quickly, get some money. I need to save this much in a savings account so I can quickly buy a car, quickly get a nice apartment, maybe a rental house. And it'll take a couple of months, for Cressa's visa to come through, so I can go to the U.S. and get a job, get a house, get a car, move our furniture and our appliances out of storage, our clothes and blankets and towels, set up the new house, and then, pick up Cressa and the kids at the airport and bring them back. That had been my focus before, okay? But now my focus is, when I go to Texas, okay, how much time do I really need to do A, B, and C? Okay, I have to go back, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. How much time do I need so I can hurry back? And it occurred to me that my focus has shifted. So now my home is Cavite. My family is here. My children are at home here, even though my oldest son complains he wants a new house. He wants a new car. But, we can do that here. He's not going to want to go back to Texas. He's not going to want to go back. He's never going to see his cousins. He's never going to see his aunt and uncle that he calls Mama Delia, Papa Romy. He's developed roots here. He is at home here in the Philippines. And that just struck me, because I realized I'm at home here in the Philippines. And unless something really tremendous happens, my wife and I were talking about it the other day, that if they don't have school next year, 2022, if they cancel the school year that year, that means that the Philippines is going to be on this bizarre track for the future. And Texas has open schools already. So, no masks required, no social distancing, none of that in schools for kids under 12 years old. No vaccines required or anything. So if that's the case next year, Charlie is still in kindergarten here this year. He can get by with a tutor, and next year we'll enroll him for first grade. But if there's still no schools for children here next year, we might have to go back. But, that's a long way off. That's something we'll decide after Christmas and New Year's. So for now, my kids are at home here. I'm at home here. Here is where we belong. Here is where my brain says I live. And that's really interesting to me because growing up in the U.S., you have this expectation that the U.S. is where everyone wants to go. The U.S. is the best place. And there's a lot of evidence for that, okay? You can get Vietnamese newspapers. You can get Polish language newspapers. I'm not sure about German, but definitely French. There are large French-speaking areas, especially in East Texas and Louisiana. There's a Polish language newspaper in Chicago. There's a Tamil language FM radio station in Dallas. On and on and on, okay? There's a big Ethiopian community in Kansas City and Minneapolis. The whole world is in the U.S. You run into everybody there. There were 25,000 Filipinos living within a 1-hour drive of where we lived. And when I was a bachelor, I dated girls from Turkey, from Cameroon, from Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa, from Mexico, from Colombia, all over. It's amazing. I had friends from Palestine, Palestinian, Israeli citizen, Lebanon, Russia, France, Germany. I had co-workers from Germany as well as Mexico. The whole world is there. So there's quite a bit of evidence, okay, that the U.S. might be one of the best countries ever, okay? But our circumstance, my wife's family, my pension, if we lived in the U.S., I would have to work. Here, I don't need to work. Here, my wife has a huge extended family that my kids love, that my kids are safe around, that we had 14 people in the house for a week and nothing was stolen. And that really blew my mind because I've never had that in my life. I've never had family staying in my house and nothing is stolen. In my history, whenever you have family in your house, it's because of some kind of obligation. Somebody died, somebody is in trouble, you have to have them in your house. And when they leave, you take a deep breath and you walk around and you find out what they stole. That's the expectation. And here that just doesn't happen. My kids, my oldest is 5, he's never heard the F word. In the U.S., he would be in daycare, he would know how to find pornography on a cell phone, and he'd be saying the F word as well as other words, okay? Common problem I've heard again and again and again from people in the U.S. that have to send their kids to daycare because both parents have to work in the U.S. Here it's so relaxing. My kids are so happy. Everything is going so well, it scares me. It scares me to go back to the U.S. I'm scared now that I'm going to have to stay. So I book a deliberately short flight. I'm only going to stay 8 days, and I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm going to have to stay longer. And that really shocks me, because just a few years ago, I would have believed that the nightmare would be being stuck in the Philippines. That would be the nightmare. And still, that might prove to be a nightmare if they don't have school. And everyone else in the world has open schools, except the Philippines. But for right now, the Philippines is the best place over all the world for my kids to be. And I need to be here with them. And it actually pains me a little bit that I have to go to the U.S. to do a little bit of business, a little bit of this and that, and hurry back. It's funny.